Ahoy! Welcome back. I'm Sabiha Afreen, a BCBA and the Director of Quality Control for Success on the Spectrum Franchising. We are the nation's first ABA franchising network. Thank you so much for joining me today as we continue our mini parenting series on addressing problem behavior based on function. Previously, we identified what the four main functions of behavior are in accordance to the acronym SEAT, and my colleague, Kendra Kitchen, discussed self-stimulatory and escape-maintained behaviors. As a quick recap, let's quickly review what the acronym SEAT means. Remember that S stands for self-stimulatory, E stands for escape, A stands for attention, and T stands for tangible. In today's video, we will discuss Part A of the SEAT acronym, which stands for Attention-Seeking Behaviors. What do I mean by attention-seeking behaviors? But before we continue, I want you to think about all the ways in which you may seek attention from someone else. Have you ever stayed late after work in the hopes that your boss will notice and acknowledge you for working so hard? Have you ever gotten into a fight with a close friend or significant other and refused to talk to them until they made the first move? Or have you ever randomly hugged someone for no other reason other than wanting some affection back? These are all different ways in which someone may seek attention from someone else. Our children may do the same thing, except their ways of seeking attention from you is a little bit more unique and may not always be socially appropriate. But don't worry, I'm here to coach you on how to address those behaviors in a way that is meaningful to both you and your child. When your child engages in attention-seeking behaviors, they are trying to communicate one of three things. The first thing that they may be trying to communicate is that they're unhappy with the fact that someone else is receiving attention instead of them. For example, they may be trying to communicate that they are not happy with the fact that their sibling is getting the attention instead of them. Another thing that your child may be trying to communicate is that they are unhappy that your attention is focused on something else instead of them, or what I call divided attention. This may be because you're on the phone speaking to someone else, or you're browsing through your phone looking up the latest Instagram post. The third thing, they're trying to communicate that they are displeased with the fact that the attention that is now on them is about to be removed. Your child is trying to communicate that they're unhappy with the fact that attention is no longer on them. So one question that parents often ask is, how can I tell when my child is trying to get my attention? I want you to consider everything that is happening just before your child engages in attention-seeking behaviors. For example, is there someone who is focused on something else instead of your child, and your child happens to be looking at them in order to get attention? Is it that you're on the phone and your child is coming near you and they're not getting the attention that they are looking for? Is it that everyone is eating dinner at the table and your child is looking around and looking for attention to be given to them? You can assume that your child is engaging in attention-seeking behaviors based on the prior events that occurred right before the behavior started. The next question that I'm often asked is, so what do I do whenever my child engages in attention-seeking behaviors? Some behaviors may include whining, hitting, crying, having a tantrum, throwing something at someone else, or simply glaring at them. Now, let's answer the question of what to do when your child engages in attention-seeking behaviors. The first thing I want you to consider is the intensity of the behavior. If the behavior is of low intensity, you're going to respond in one way. When I speak about low intensity behaviors, I'm referring to behaviors that are more subtle in nature. These may include softly crying, kind of whining, or having a frown on their face and glaring at someone else. I want you to teach them the proper ways to get attention instead. So let's pretend that you are in the kitchen and you're about to start cooking, and your little toddler walks up to you and smacks your leg gently, and they begin to whine. What do? Simply crouch down at their level and show them the appropriate way in which they can get attention from you. If the behavior is of higher intensity, you will respond in a different way. For example, you can teach them to tap you on the shoulder, or you can give them the phrase, "Mama, look at me," and have your child repeat you. Once they engage in that appropriate alternative behavior, acknowledge them, give them the attention that they seek. By doing this, you are teaching your child a different way to get attention from you instead of through whining and hitting you. Now, if the behavior is of a higher intensity, such as a tantrum, screaming loudly, throwing things, or hitting you hard, you're going to approach this behavior in a different way. The first thing that you're going to do is continue doing what you were doing prior to your child engaging in intense behaviors in order to get your attention. For example, if you're browsing through pictures on your phone, simply continue browsing through those pictures. But at the same time, redirect your child to an easy alternative and neutral activity. You're going to redirect and have your child engage in an activity that they know how to do, which you can easily give to them right at that moment. These activities should be something that you can easily retrieve and your child can easily do without needing your help. For example, as you continue browsing through pictures on your phone, you may give your child a puzzle to complete or a book to look through. Once your child begins to engage in the easy neutral activity, then you can provide them with attention. By having your child engage in an alternative activity and then giving them attention once they start doing that activity, you will be teaching your child that there are other ways to communicate that your child wants your attention instead of by hitting you or throwing a tantrum. This will also help them understand that they are being acknowledged, it's just that their behavior is not being acknowledged at that time. And finally, how do I maintain composure whenever my child is engaging in attention seeking behaviors? The first thing I want you to remember is that any attention is still attention, regardless of whether it's a positive or negative reaction. The second thing I want you to come up with is how you react whenever your child is engaging in attention seeking behaviors. If you give them the reaction that they are seeking, what do you think happens to the behavior? If you're reactive to their attention seeking behaviors, realize that your child may continue doing those behaviors in the future because it is being reinforced. So instead of being reactive, I want you to be proactive. Next time, think about all the different strategies that you can use for yourself in order to maintain composure as your child engages in these behaviors. I hope you enjoyed this part of our mini parenting series on addressing problem behavior based on function. As you practice these strategies that Kendra and I have taught you on addressing problem behavior, try your best not to be the lowest to your Stewie, no matter how cute he may be. Please join us next time as we conclude with the final portion of the SEAT acronym, T, which stands for tangible. Thank you, and I'll talk to you next time.